Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is the King Coda, and welcome to another Genshin Impact artifact video. I know, I make a lot of these. We're going to be breaking down in this video everything in regards to artifacts, where you can farm them, the best stats you can get on them, the stats that each piece can roll with, as well as the kind of best sets per character in a more general sense. I won't be giving you a guide on the artifact sets per a character, but I'll make some recommendations on who could use each set. With all that being said, let's get right into the video. So when discussing the best sets and just sets in general, it's important to note that some sets can only be found at higher rarity levels, and some sets can only be found at the lower rarity levels. For instance, Berserker can only go up to purples. It's found in blues and purples, whereas, say, Lucky Dog is only found as whites and greens. And gladiators can only be found as purples and golds. So when you're wanting to talk about them, for the most part, if it's a low rarity one, I'm not going to be discussing it in this video. The Lucky Dog, it has a use in early game, but you're going to replace it. You're going to replace the Traveling Doctor fairly quickly with artifacts that can have higher stats overall on them. So what I first want to talk about is the purples that can be found both by opening up chests as well as by fighting bosses. And those would be sets like the Exiles, which can be found, like I said, by opening up chests or by fighting the general bosses in your Adventurer tab. Or the Berserkers, which can also be found through those same ways. These are excellent early to mid-game sets, and even you could run some of them into the late game while you're working on getting the sets that you actually want. For these sets, they roll Berserkers rolls crit rate, and also as a 4-piece, when your HP is below 70%, your crit rate is increased an additional 24%. So if you're running a character that really likes to crit, like Klee or Diluc, early game, Berserkers is a great piece to put on them. Then with, say, the Exiles, it can run with energy recharge, and as a 4-piece, using an elemental burst regenerates 2 energy for other party members. So this is a great set piece to run for your support class, like maybe Jingling or Venti. Then when you're actually really wanting to look at artifact sets is towards the late game, 35, 40, and 45. Especially 45. If you're going to farm for the domain artifact sets specifically, wait until 45. For those of you that don't know, these sets are found by going into your Adventurer book, going down to domains, and then searching in the domains for the artifacts you're looking for. For instance, the top one, the Midsummer Courtyard, will always have the Thundering Fury and the Thunder Soothers sets. The Valley of Remembrance will have the Verdescent and the Maiden Beloved. The Domain of Gunyun has the the Petra set, and as well as the Bolide set. The Hidden Palace of Zhao gives you the Crimson Witch of Flames, which is a very beloved set, and the Lava Walkers. Clear Pool and Mountain Cavern gives you the Bloodstained Chivalry, which is also a very good set, and in my opinion one of the best sets in the game, the Noblesse Oblige. And so when you're looking at what you should be farming, look at the character that's in your party. For instance, I use Beto. So the first set that I went to go and farm, which I started at 35, and I didn't waste a lot of resin to do this, I went for the Thundering Fury set because that will increase my electro damage bonus. If you, say, are using Diluc, you want to go for the Crimson Witch of Flame set, which will give you fire bonus. I would say for every character currently in the game, with a couple exceptions I will mention, you're going to want a set that boosts their elemental damage, and then from there, as a two-piece, and then from there you want to add on a secondary two-piece. With a few exceptions, I will say, whenever it comes to where that's set at. Whenever it comes to Razor, if you're building Razor, I would say you want the Bloodstained Chivalry at least as a two-piece. Now, you can get some use out of it as a four-piece, but for how you want to use Razor, which is just smacking on bosses and ads, running this as a two-piece, I think, is where you want to go. Mona or other supports are using their bursts abilities a lot. You're gonna want the Noblesse Oblige four-piece flat out. No mix and match here, just get this set as a four-piece set and you'll be doing amazing. Your healer, say you're running Kiki or you're running Barbara, couldn't think of her name for some reason, as your healer, you're going to want the four-piece of the Maiden's Beloved, as it will increase your healing, and that's what they do. Also, I would say if you're running Venti as a support, you're just going to want the full Viridescent Burner four-piece set. So for every character, definitely grab a two-piece of their elemental skill to buff it up, but then for specific characters, you're going to want to grab ones that are actually for their role. Razor doesn't do a lot of electro damage, so you don't want the electro set, you want the physical damage set because he does a lot of that. Your healer does healing, so grab the healing set. You know, Animo for Venti. So there are specific sets that are good per character. So whenever it comes to also the sets you can get from dungeons, some of them are just garbage. The Thunder Super set is, in my opinion, garbage. Yes, as a four-piece, it is good. Increases damage against enemies affected by Electro by 35%. But the two-piece set is, it just increases your Electro res by 40%. And resistance in this game is something that not many people really care about because dodge forehead. So as a result, you're pretty much only wanting to go for the Thundering Fury. You can make the Thundering Super work as a four-piece, but you can make the Thundering Fury work as just a two-piece. So here's a quick list of everyone that is good, I think, to put Thundering Fury on. Here's a quick list of everyone that the Viridescent Vernerer set can go for. The Maiden Beloved. The Archaic Petra. The Belied. Crimson Witch of Flames. Bloodstained Chivalry. Noblesse Oblige. So that's it for the domain drops. Now let's go over the drops that you can get from bosses, as well as these can drop from chests at random intervals in the open world. And that is stuff like the Berserker set. It is crit rate, as I said at the beginning of this video, and here is a list of characters I think benefit from high crit rate. This is the Instructor set. It increases your elemental mastery by 80, and as a four-piece, it'll increase your elemental skill, increases all party members' elemental mastery by 120% for 8 seconds. Here's a list of characters I think this works great with. The Exile set. So here's a list of everyone that the Exile set works well with. On top of that, some bosses the ones they have to spend the 40 and the 60 resin on, they drop 2 special sets only they can drop. And that is the Gladiator set, which increases your attack percent by 18%, and as a 4-piece, if the wielder of this artifact uses a sword, claymore, or polearm, increase their normal attack damage by 35%. Here's a list of characters this works great with. Now, the Wandering Troops set will increase your elemental mastery by 80 and increases charge attack damage by 35% if the caster uses a catalyst or bow. Here's a list of characters that this one works great with. Let's go over the 5 types of artifacts in the game and the type of stat rolls you can get and want to get on them. Those are your helmet, your cup, your flower, your feather, and your hourglass. Now, each piece is very important. Let's go over the flower first. The flower is always going to have HP as its base stat. And then from there, you can get multiple substats. As always with the substats, it's best to get it in a damaging type stat. You don't want defense or HP percentage. Elemental recharge, crit damage, attack, crit rate, attack percentage, those are the kinds of stuff that you want, because those increase your overall DPS. For your feather, it's always going to be an attack. Flat attack, and it's actually where you can get some of the most attack out of your characters in the game. So I highly recommend you max out your feather actually as the first piece that you max out. And of course with the substats, you want things like elemental mastery, crit damage, crit percent, attack percent, all that. No defense, no HP. Looking at your cup can actually roll very interestingly. It can roll with elemental damage percentage. This, in my opinion, is the best stat you can get on a piece. As you can see, I have an electro damage percentage on my Beto. Getting just this piece on my Beto has enabled my counter to do 5,000 more damage just off of this one piece. And then as I build out the rest of her kit, I'm doing into the 20,000s. And this is basically one of the big factors that allows people to get those huge, insane, 100,000% damage. It's because they're building for their elemental damage. So definitely on the cup, I would look for the elemental damage for the character that you will be equipping it with. And that can take a lot of time, because also on the cup, you can get things like defense percent, HP percent, attack percent. And you can get a elemental percentage for a piece that you don't want. I have gotten, for the Thundering set, a cup that did electro damage. That's not what you want. Another great option on here is Elemental Mastery and Elemental Recharge, but really just go for your electro damage bonus. Or your elemental damage bonus, I should say. Looking at the helmet can roll with attack percent, defense percent, HP percent, as well as crit rate and crit damage. Definitely, in my opinion, what you want is crit rate on your helmet. If you get just attack percent, that's fine. Go with what you get. But I think crit rate is one of the best damage dealing effects you can get on your helmet. It's one of the only places where it can roll other than as substats. So if you get a crit rate piece, be very happy with that. Crit damage is also a great option if your character has a lot of crit rate built into their kit, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. Those are the two that I would go for in this set. Looking at the hourglass can roll as defense percent, HP percent, or attack percent. It can also roll with elemental mastery and elemental recharge. In my opinion, in this position, you either want elemental mastery if you're running as a support, or attack percent if you're running as a main physical DPS. But again, I will leave that up to you to decide on the characters that you want to build. Every character is a little bit different. That's why I'm making build guides on them. Elemental Energy Recharge is great also for supports, but like I said, for me personally, I'm going for attack percent on these stats. So some artifacts are found pretty readily in the open world. If you're running into an issue of needing XP for these artifacts, I recommend that you go around and you find them. Now, you will be mostly getting greens and whites. I have gotten a blue from these, but it is once in a blue moon. But as you can see, I just got quite a few little artifacts from there. These refresh every day to my knowledge. So making it a daily task, I have this one marked right here on my map. I believe there are others down over by Mount Hula and some up to the north. I do not have every good one marked. All I have right now is this, and I need to go through and actually mark all the good little farming spots for artifacts. You can find guides for that definitely online. This is just the one that I know of that gives me a good amount every day. That is pretty much it for my guide on artifacts. They are, in my opinion, one of the biggest parts of the game. That's why I talk about them a lot. If you also didn't know, as I put in my tips and tricks video, artifacts can roll with more base substats than others. Take, for instance, this Maiden's Passing Youth. It is a +0. I put 0 XP into it, and it has 2 substats. But this Hourglass of Thunder has 3 at +0. Some items at +0 will just have more stats in their pool than others. And so whenever you level it up, say I get one that has 4 substats, whenever I level up, I'm only going to roll into those 4 substats. So when you're leveling up your artifacts, definitely be a little bit selective on the ones that you choose to keep. You can retain XP from artifacts. So say I put a bunch into this Maiden's Heart and it has defense and HP percentage, but I get another one later that has attack and crit damage instead. So what I can do is I can put this Maiden's Heart into another Maiden's Heart, and as a result, I will get 90% of that XP back, so that other Maiden's Heart will be closer to cap right off the get-go. Definitely pay attention to what you are leveling and make sure it's a piece that you want to use. In the early game, doesn't matter, just use whatever's best for your character. You know, make sure you're maxing out your feather to give it yourself attack, and your flower to give yourself survivability, because those are static rolls. They're what you're gonna get. And then everything else, just go for whatever you think gives you the best benefit. Late game, go for the stat distributions that I recommended, or if you have a better idea, go for it. And then put your old artifact that had garbage rolls anyways into that new artifact. You get 90% of the XP back. If you want the berserkers and others, make sure every day you come down here to your bosses and you go and you fight these bosses, the ones that drop it, not the, you know, ones that cost resin. There are bosses in here that do not cost resin, and every single one of them has a chance to drop you the berserkers, the instructors, and the exile pieces up to purple, as you can see here. And make sure you also go to Leeway and you fight them there. So that is it for my tips. If there's anything I didn't get to, let me know in the comment section down below. I will definitely be making a follow-up video, because this is just all the artifacts that currently exist in the game. There are definitely other artifact sets that will be coming with the new regions, and we'll be getting more domains. So if new sets come out, I will be making guide videos on those. And as I build out my characters, I'm of course making recommendations. So check those out. I'll see you guys in another video. Hope you enjoyed.